such a remarkable sound. Yeah, such a remarkable.
So last time on Ramblin Bout Ramos, we talked about crew selection, kind of a strategy overview of when to take Ramos, when not to take Ramos, what are some of the strategies that Ramos does very well, and so forth. Today, we're actually going to focus in on one of Ramos's minions in particular, and that is the minion most commonly taken with Ramos above any other Arcanist Master, and that is the Steampunk Arachnid. So, the Steampunk Arachnid, as you know, 6 come in the Ramos starter box, but I try to steer people away from trying to get the old spiders because they're difficult to put together, and you know, they're just kind of flimsy and they're not great. The new Steampunk Arachnid Swarms, the ones that come with Avatar Ramos and are sold separately, are one piece. They're much easier to put together and paint, and they just make life a lot easier for you. Now, there are plenty of videos on magnetizing these. In fact, I have my old spiders are all magnetized. However, you know, for the sake of just ease and storage, I just went ahead and glued some of these together and glued a separate swarm. So, regarding the Steampunk Arachnid, at first glance, the Steampunk Arachnid does not seem to be a very impressive minion. It's got a CB of 4, cost 3, it's insignificant. Has a decent defense of 6 and a defensive trigger to go along with that. But not terribly impressive to most people, only 3 wounds, 1 armor, so forth. And you could look at it that way, and you know, you could run other things in a Ramos set and be perfectly fine. There are lots of other good constructs out there besides the Steampunk Arachnids, but I find that the Steampunk Arachnids are great in that they offer Ramos, and not necessarily Avatar Ramos we're talking about, just plain old regular Ramos. They offer him some versatility. So when you're considering the Steampunk Arachnid by itself, you've got a 3 Soulstone model that actually can do a few different things. It's got a couple of really cool 0 actions. One is a disruption field, and then that is good for just kind of staying in the general area of casters and making it hard for them to get spells off. But the other thing that I really like is that 0 action to latch on. That really does very well against high defense targets, and it stacks, so it's a really brilliant thing to have. In addition to that, you've got self-destruct, which isn't bad because you know, Ramos can always come back and recycle the scrap generated from that. And the spider itself does not, although it's CB4, does not have a terrible damage arc of 223. A guaranteed 2 damage on a 3 Soulstone model is not very bad at all. Let's not forget the fact that it's got Arachnid, so that it's climbing over climbable and that type of terrain without penalty. So the Steampunk Arachnid is really not very bad at all. In fact, one of the things that's so good about the Steampunk Arachnid is the fact that most people aren't very impressed with it. So that you can run a Steampunk Arachnid around the field by itself, and people aren't going to be paying attention to that. They're going to be paying attention to bigger targets like the Steamborg Executioner, or maybe Karis, or the large Steampunk Arachnid, but they're not going to be paying too much attention to the small Steampunk Arachnid. So, small Steampunk Arachnids, not bad. I mean, Ramos can actually just make them on his own. The mobile toolkit definitely helps, but like on a typical Ramos activation, you can use his 2 actions, Salvage Under Fire, to generate a scrap token, and then use his 0 action cast to summon a Steampunk Arachnid on an 8 tome, or like I said, if you have the mobile toolkit, it just happens on an 8. So it's fairly reliable with the toolkit, a little bit unreliable without it. But just the fact that Ramos can make these on the field without actually having to generate or wait for something to die is very good. Of course, when stuff does die, that makes it all the more efficient. Things like large Steampunk Arachnids. So, for example, if you took a large Steampunk Arachnid, you broke it down into its 3 scrap counters, and then you had Ramos make spiders out of it, well, potentially Not practically, but potentially you have a 9 soul stones worth of constructs that you can make. So let's talk really quick about making the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm out of Steampunk Arachnids. So obviously what you do need is you need a couple Steampunk Arachnids. The general thought that I have when I'm setting this up is I take the Steampunk Arachnids in sets of 2, so I might take 4 if I'm hoping to make 2 swarms, or I may take 6 and hope to make 3 swarms out of it. Sometimes I'll just start with 2 and be happy with trying to make 1 swarm. What's nice is when you start the game and you've got many small Steampunk Arachnids, that allows you to control activations early in the game. This is one of Ramos's keys to success, is being able to dominate the activation phase early in the game. So running these Steampunk Arachnids is really cool. And then you know, in order to swarm, what you need to do is you need to have 1 Steampunk Arachnid that's in base with 2 Steampunk Arachnids, and they take that Steampunk Arachnid will take a 1 action to swarm together. So when it swarms together, then you replace it with the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm. Now the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm is fairly impressive at first glance. It's got that nice damage arc of 335, the CB goes up. Obviously it's got 9 wounds and armor, that's always good. It has a great paralyze trigger. Strength in numbers, also very good ability that the Steampunk Arachnid has, and it also has the ability to heal itself. That said, defense goes down to 4, so you know, this target gets a little bit easier to hit, but it can actually heal itself. Now, one of the things that people do, or one of the mistakes that I've seen newer Ramos players do, is they get that kind of Corfy duet mentality, and so they make the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm and then expect to keep it together all game. That's not terribly good all the time. Like I said, the strength of this unit is in its flexibility. So for example, I'm going to pull Ramos out for a second here. So for example, let's say you were trying to hit you know, a difficult target, and you had the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm. Well, actually, let's back up a sec. We'll go here back to where we were, where we have 2 Steampunk Arachnids, and then we have the whoa, focus. There we go. Then we have the 3rd one come along on its activation, and then they swarm together. Sorry for all the motion going on. They swarm together to make the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm. Now that Steampunk Arachnid Swarm can attack that turn, hopefully get a paralyze off, or you know, it's using its melee master. So even if you run out of AP just to make the swarm, you'll still have 2 attacks in your melee master, and hopefully you can get off something really cool like the paralyze trigger. Now, what you can do, though, is if you have a target with high defense, like, let's say, Perdita or Lilith or something like that, on the next turn, after you've attacked that target twice, you probably didn't hit, but maybe you did hit once and you landed that para-trigger. Now you have a choice. Now you can attack 4 times at CB5 with the regular Steampunk Arachnid Swarm, or you can, with the first swarm, you can actually swarm apart like this, and then use that first one to kind of come around here, do a 0 action latch on, and then attack. So it does a 0 action latch on and then attack at -2 defense for the defender at a 2/2/3 damage arc. Then the next one goes, and the next one will do a latch on and then do attacks again. Now CB defense -4 and a 2/2/3 damage arc. And then finally the last one goes 2 attacks, and at this time -6 defense cumulative. So you've got 5 attacks with basically increasing penalties on the defense, and that can be very, very powerful. You can also give the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm certain effects, and then swarm apart And there's lots of trickery you can do with, one giving an effect to 3, maybe one dies, you come back, it finds another pair of arachnids to swarm together with, and now that swarm has the effect. So there's a lot of little trickery and so forth with the Steampunk Arachnids and the Steampunk Arachnid Swarm. I think the main key here is that you don't want to just think about swarming together. That's not the goal with the Steampunk Arachnids. Sometimes you want to use their latch-ons and their disruption fields, and sometimes you want to spend part of the game as a swarm and then other parts of the game apart. So early in the game, like I said, you think about individual Steampunk Arachnids controlling activations, and then when the time comes, you swarm together. You hopefully get to a decent target, or you get some effects off. You might even take advantage of the fact that you're now significant. And then later on in the game, you then swarm back apart, and then you do something nasty like the 5 attacks at the decreasing defense like that. So anyways, I think we went on long enough. Hopefully this section was helpful to people. I know that there's a lot of different nuances with Steampunk Arachnid Swarms. These are just things that you're going to pick up as your experience increases with this unit. So that's about it. I really like taking Steampunk Arachnids. Even if I'm going Avatar Ramos, sometimes I'll try to make a swarm before I go Avatar Ramos. But again, it depends on the game, it depends on your opponent, it depends on the strategy. So that's it for this session of Ramblin' About Ramos, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.